My sister physically blocked me at our parents' door on Thanksgiving, announcing I wasn't welcome. I'm Fiona, 32, and this happened last Thanksgiving when family betrayal reached its breaking point. What started as a simple holiday dinner became the moment my sister's 2-year manipulation campaign finally collapsed. In front of 15 relatives, 3 neighbors, and one very calm lawyer on speakerphone. She thought she'd won by banning me from our family home. She didn't know about the documents in my glove compartment that would change everything. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Let me tell you how 2 years of manipulation finally unraveled in 5 minutes. The setup for this disaster started 2 years earlier when my marriage fell apart. Not dramatically, just two people realizing we wanted different things. But to my sister Melissa, my divorce was blood in the water. I moved back to our hometown, rented a small apartment 10 minutes from our parents. Practical decision. Mom's arthritis was getting worse. Dad's memory wasn't what it used to be. As a nurse, I could help with medications, doctor visits, the daily stuff that matters. Melissa lived 40 minutes away in her perfect suburban mansion. Real estate agent, successful husband, 2 kids in private school. The American dream in a BMW SUV. It's so sad, she'd tell anyone who'd listen. Fiona's really struggling since the divorce. Struggling? I had a stable job, my own place, peace of mind. But next to Melissa's Christmas card life, I looked like failure personified. Every Sunday dinner became a masterclass in subtle humiliation. Oh, Fiona, still renting? In this economy, building equity is so important. Dating anyone? No? Well, not everyone gets a second chance at love. Maybe if you'd focused more on your marriage instead of those extra shifts. Mom and Dad started echoing her concerns. Melissa worries about you, honey. Your sister just wants you to be happy. Maybe you should talk to someone about everything. The worst part? Melissa had somehow become the gatekeeper of our parents' schedule. Doctor appointments, family events, even grocery runs, everything went through her first. I'm just being organized, she'd say. You know how scattered Mom gets. I watched my parents start seeing me through her lens. Their capable daughter became their broken child who couldn't keep a husband, couldn't buy a house, couldn't get her life together. But I kept showing up. Every Sunday. Every appointment she forgot to mention. Every family event I heard about secondhand. Something was coming. I could feel it building like storm pressure. Melissa's campaign escalated with surgical precision. Dad's 68th birthday. She forgot to tell me they'd moved the celebration up a day. Oh, Fiona couldn't make it, she told everyone. Some work thing. You know how she prioritizes. I found out through Facebook. 23 relatives gathered around Dad while I sat in an empty break room, having requested the wrong day off. When Mom had her gallbladder surgery, I spent 3 nights in her hospital room. Melissa visited once, for 20 minutes, with a photographer friend who happened to stop by. Guess whose devoted bedside vigil made it into the family newsletter? Melissa's been such an angel, Aunt Carol gushed at Easter. Your mom told us how you've been too busy to help. Too busy? I'd taken a week of unpaid leave. But Melissa had already rewritten history, and she'd rewrite it again while I was still living it. The family WhatsApp group became her personal PR platform. Photos of her organizing Mom's medications, which I'd actually sorted. Stories about helping Dad with finances, while I drove him to every bank appointment. Always posted while I was working 12-hour shifts, unable to respond. My cousins started giving me looks, half pity, half judgment. Must be hard, they'd murmur, seeing Melissa handle everything. I wanted to scream. I'm here every Tuesday making dinner. I'm the emergency contact at their pharmacy. I have their house key, their medical histories, their trust. But defending yourself against invisible accusations makes you look crazy. So I stayed quiet, showed up, did the work without the credit. Then one evening, Dad pulled me aside. His hands shook slightly as he pressed an envelope into mine. Keep this safe, he whispered. Don't tell your sister yet. I should have known then that everything was about to change. My failures became Melissa's favorite conversation starters. Every family gathering, she'd find a way to highlight the gap between us. Fiona's still doing the nursing thing. So noble, really. Not everyone needs a big career. Nursing thing? I was charge nurse in the cardiac unit, managing 20-bed assignments and training residents. But next to successful businesswoman Melissa, I might as well have been candy striping. The divorce became her masterpiece of concern trolling. Some people just aren't meant for marriage. It takes a certain kind of stability, you know? Meanwhile, her husband Brad spent most dinners scrolling his phone, occasionally grunting agreement. Stability indeed. The lack of children was another weapon. It's probably for the best, she'd sigh. Kids need consistency, structure, a two-parent home. This from the woman whose teenagers hadn't made eye contact with her in months. Mom started buying into it. Honey, when are you going to get back on your feet? She asked one Sunday while I was literally fixing her insulin pump. I'm standing, Mom, right here. You know what I mean. Melissa says a lot of things. Dad watched these exchanges silently. But that evening, after Melissa left early for another important client dinner, he found me in the kitchen. I need you to do something for me, he said quietly. It's about the future, your mother's and mine. He pulled out a business card, Henderson and Associates, estate planning. We've already been, he said, 6 months ago. There are papers, important ones. But Melissa's been asking questions, making suggestions about our finances, our house. His eyes met mine, clearer than I'd seen them in months. You're the one who shows up, Fiona. You're the one we trust. That secret request would change everything. Melissa's endgame revealed itself at Sunday dinner 3 weeks before Thanksgiving. She brought brochures, glossy, expensive ones. Sunrise Manor is the premier senior living community in the state, she announced, spreading them across Mom's good tablecloth. They have medical staff, activities, restaurant-style dining. Mom's coffee cup rattled against the saucer. We're not moving anywhere. Of course not now, Melissa soothed. But we need to plan. This house is too big, too many stairs. And the maintenance costs alone. We manage fine, Dad said firmly. Do you, though? Melissa's voice dripped concern. Fiona told me you forgot your medications twice last week. I hadn't told her anything. I'd adjusted Dad's pill organizer and set phone reminders. Problem solved. The house is worth at least $800,000 in this market, she continued. That would cover years at Sunrise Manor with plenty left over for contingencies. Contingencies. Right. Like her kids' college funds, the boat Brad wanted, that kitchen renovation she'd been planning. Plus, she added, not meeting my eyes, they have specialized memory care units. Just in case. Dad's hand found Mom's across the table. They'd been in this house 35 years. Raised us here. Planted that oak tree for their anniversary. If I stayed silent, my parents would lose everything. It's something to consider, Mom said weakly, and my heart cracked. After dinner, I helped Dad to his study while Melissa loaded the dishwasher, her monthly contribution to household chores. The papers, he whispered urgently. You still have them? Safe in my apartment. Good. We're going to need them soon. Melissa's been to the bank 3 times this month, asking about adding herself to accounts. For emergencies, she says. If I stayed silent, my parents wouldn't just lose their home. They'd lose their autonomy, their dignity, their life savings. The stakes couldn't be higher. Beyond the money and the house, I was losing my family. Melissa's kids, my only niece and nephew, barely knew me existed. Aunt Fiona's going through a difficult time, I'd overheard her tell them. We need to give her space. Space? I'd bought birthday presents that were never delivered, sent cards that never arrived, offered to babysit and been told they were all set. My cousins treated me like a charity case at family functions. Gentle voices, careful topics, the kind of distance you keep from someone fragile. Melissa had painted me as the family failure so thoroughly that even my presence felt like an imposition. But worse than losing my reputation was watching my parents slip away. Mom stopped calling me for our Thursday chats. Dad no longer asked my opinion about his medications. They'd started treating me like Melissa's version of me: unstable, unsuccessful, unreliable. The woman who'd spent 18 years at their bedside through every surgery, every scare, every sleepless night, had been erased, replaced by a fictional failure who couldn't be trusted with important decisions. Some things matter more than keeping peace. I thought about those papers in my apartment safe: medical power of attorney, financial power of attorney, dated 6 months ago, witnessed, notarized. Mom and Dad had made their choice clearly, legally, irrevocably. "You're the one we trust," Dad had said. But trust meant nothing if I let Melissa bulldoze them into Sunrise Manor. Trust meant nothing if I stayed silent while she drained their accounts. Trust meant nothing if I prioritized family harmony over their actual welfare. The Sunday before Thanksgiving, Melissa announced a family meeting for the day after the holiday to discuss Mom and Dad's transition plans. Transition. Like they were already packed and gone. I had 48 hours to act. Melissa had scheduled her coup for Black Friday, symbolic really, the day she'd claim the biggest discount on our parents' lives. "Just family," she'd emphasized, looking directly at me, "to discuss what's best for Mom and Dad's future." She'd already recruited allies. Our cousin Tom, who owed her husband money. Aunt Patricia, who'd always resented that Mom inherited Grandma's china. Even Mom's brother David, flying in from Phoenix, swayed by Melissa's concern for his sister's declining health. The nursing home contracts were ready. Melissa had shown them to Brad's lawyer friend just to review. She'd scheduled a realtor's assessment for the following Monday, even researched estate sale companies for the furniture. "We need to move quickly," I'd overheard her tell someone on the phone, "before the holidays affect the market." Before I could interfere, she meant. Wednesday night, I sat in my apartment studying those documents Dad had given me, every whereas and heretofore a shield against what was coming. Mr. Henderson had been thorough: medical directives, financial oversight, even temporary guardianship clauses if needed. "Your parents were very specific," he told me during our confidential meeting. "They want you as primary agent, not joint, not secondary. You." But papers were just papers unless I was willing to use them. And using them meant declaring war on Thanksgiving. I'd already made copies, already confirmed with Henderson he'd be available by phone, already transferred the originals to my car's locked glove compartment. Aunt Carol had texted me that night. "Melissa's been moving money, small amounts but frequently. Your parents might not even notice." They might not notice, but the bank statements would, the paper trail would, the pattern of financial exploitation would. I had 48 hours to act, and I'd already started the countdown. Tomorrow would be Thanksgiving, and Melissa had no idea what was coming. I arrived at my parents' house at noon, 2 hours before the official start time. Melissa's Lexus already claimed the driveway's prime spot. She met me at the door like a sentinel. "Why are you here so early?" "I live nearby, remember?" Her eyes narrowed. "Well, don't overwhelm Mom. She's having a difficult morning." Mom was in the kitchen, perfectly fine, humming while basting the turkey. But Melissa had already started her narrative. In the kitchen, the tension crystallized. Every interaction became a small battlefield. "Don't put the plates there, Fiona. I have a system." "Since when?" "Since I organized this entire dinner." Mom looked between us, confused. She'd been cooking Thanksgiving dinner for 35 years. Now, suddenly, Melissa had organized it. The relatives started arriving. Each greeting felt like choosing sides in an invisible war. Melissa had done her prep work, pulled each aside for concerned whispers about my situation. "She's fragile," I heard her tell Cousin Janet. "The divorce really broke something in her. Maybe some delusions about importance. We're trying to be patient." Delusions about importance. from the woman who'd appointed herself CEO of our parents' lives. Brad arrived with their teenagers, who immediately disappeared into their phones. He gave me the same look he always did, half pity, half relief that I wasn't his problem. Aunt Patricia air-kissed Melissa and barely nodded at me. Tom avoided eye contact entirely. The family constellation had already shifted, and I was the dying star. Dad sat in his recliner, watching it all with hooded eyes. When Melissa brought him coffee, 2 sugars, just how you like it, Daddy. He accepted it silently, but his hand trembled slightly, not from age, from anger. Every word was a carefully placed landmine, and we were all dancing in the minefield. The microaggressions escalated as more family arrived. Melissa conducted the humiliation like an orchestra, each note precisely timed. "Don't mention your divorce to Grandma Ellis," she instructed loudly. "We're trying to keep things positive today." Grandma Ellis, who'd been divorced twice herself, raised an eyebrow. When I started setting the table, Melissa swooped in. "Oh, I already have a seating arrangement. You're over there." She pointed to the far end, exile disguised as place setting. "That's where the kids usually sit," Mom protested. "Well, we want Fiona to feel comfortable," Melissa replied sweetly. "No pressure to maintain adult conversation." The cousins exchanged glances. Even they could feel the cruelty beneath the concern. I helped Mom with the gravy while Melissa held court in the living room, discussing her latest real estate triumph. Every few sentences, she'd glance my way and lower her voice, triggering another wave of sympathetic looks. "Should Fiona be handling hot liquids?" she stage whispered to Aunt Patricia. "She seems unsteady today." I was holding a gravy boat, steady as a rock, but the seed was planted. Everyone now watched me for signs of instability. When Dad asked me to carve the turkey, our tradition since I was 20, Melissa intervened. "Brad's really excellent at carving, more experience with sharp objects." Brad, who couldn't cut a sandwich evenly, fumbled with the electric knife while I stood aside, hands steady, jaw clenched. Aunt Carol caught my eye from across the room. She'd been watching everything, documenting on her phone. "For the memories," she'd said earlier, but her look said something else. Evidence. The performance continued through appetizers, each interaction designed to diminish me, each word calculated to reinforce my unworthiness. She conducted the humiliation like an orchestra, and everyone played their part, except Dad, who hadn't touched his coffee. Dinner was served and Melissa stood to make an announcement. The room fell silent. Even the teenagers looked up from their phones. "Before we eat, I want to discuss something important. About Mom and Dad's future." "Melissa," Mom said quietly, "this isn't the time. It's the perfect time. Everyone's here." She pulled out her folder, the one with Sunrise Manor brochures. "We need to make some decisions as a family." She launched into her presentation. Safety concerns, maintenance costs, medical proximity. Each point illustrated with staged photos of Mom struggling with grocery bags, Dad looking confused at his pill organizer. "When did you take these?" I asked. "I'm documenting their decline. Someone has to be realistic." "Realistic?" I stood up. "Or opportunistic?" The room tensed. Cousins leaned forward. Aunt Patricia clutched her pearls. "Fiona, you're too emotional to be objective," Melissa said smoothly. "This is why you can't be part of these decisions. You're not stable enough." "Stable? I'm the one here every—" "Please don't make a scene. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Your inability to handle stress." Every eye was on me. The divorced failure, the childless sister, the unstable one. I looked at my parents. Mom's eyes were wet. Dad's jaw was clenched. "You're right," I said quietly. "I should go." Melissa's triumph blazed across her face. "That's probably best. We'll save you some leftovers." I walked to the door, past the cousins recording everything, past Aunt Patricia's satisfied smirk, past my parents who said nothing to stop me. At the door, I turned back once. Dad gave the slightest nod, almost imperceptible. The signal. Then came the moment at the door that would change everything. If you've ever been gaslit by family members or made to feel like you don't belong, you'll understand what happened next. This story is about standing up for yourself with dignity and legal backing. Please hit that like button if you believe in justice, and subscribe for more stories about setting boundaries. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had to deal with a manipulative family member. Now, here's where everything changed. 6 months earlier, everything had been different. Or maybe it wasn't, and Dad just finally saw through Melissa's performance. He'd called me over on a Tuesday afternoon. Melissa was at a conference in Dallas. He'd checked twice to make sure. "I need you to handle something important," he'd said, pulling out an envelope from behind his desk drawer. Not from it, from behind it, where he'd taped it. The envelope was thick, official. Henderson and Associates embossed in the corner. "Your mother agrees. We went last month, but don't tell Melissa yet." "Dad, what is this?" "Protection," he said simply. "We're not as confused as we sometimes seem, Fiona. We see who shows up, who actually cares, and who's been making withdrawals she thinks we don't notice." My heart stopped. "You know?" "We know enough. The lawyer has everything documented, every suspicious transaction, every manipulated signature, every lie about where the money went." He pressed the envelope into my hands. "When the time comes, and you'll know when, use these. Henderson will back you up. He has copies of everything." "Why not confront her now?" Dad's eyes were sad but determined. "Because we need to know how far she'll go, and we need witnesses when we stop her." The papers felt heavy in my hands. Medical power of attorney, financial power of attorney, dated, witnessed, notarized, ironclad. "Your mother's jewelry is already in a safety deposit box under your name," he added. "The account numbers are changed. The will is updated. But Melissa doesn't know any of this. Sometimes parents see more than they let on." "Keep those papers safe," he said. "And when she finally goes too far, when she tries to force us from our home, that's when you act." That Tuesday felt like a lifetime ago, but the papers were in my glove compartment now, waiting. While Melissa performed her concern in the living room, Aunt Carol had pulled me aside in the kitchen, pretending to help with dishes. "I know what's really going on," she said quietly, running water to mask our conversation. "Carol wasn't just Mom's sister. She was a senior auditor at First National Bank, the same bank where my parents had accounts, where Melissa had been making frequent visits. Your parents aren't as confused as they seem," Carol continued, handing me a dish to dry. "They asked me to look into some irregularities." "What kind of irregularities?" "The kind that would interest the FBI's Elder Fraud Division." She glanced toward the living room where Melissa's voice carried. $47,000 in gifts over 18 months, small enough amounts to avoid reporting requirements. But the pattern is clear. She's stealing from them? Technically, they agreed to each transfer, but the signatures are inconsistent. And the timing coincides with her visits when your father's blood sugar is low, when he's most confused. Carol pulled out her phone, showed me a spreadsheet. Every transaction logged, every pattern documented. "Keep your phone ready," she said. "When this explodes, and it will, you'll want everything recorded. For legal reasons." "Does Melissa know you know?" "No. She thinks I'm the dotty aunt who works in banking. She has no idea I specialize in fraud investigation." Carol's smile was sharp. "Your parents are smarter than anyone gives them credit for. They've been building a case, Fiona. They just needed to know which daughter to trust. What she found would soon explode, and Melissa had no idea she'd been under investigation by her own family." "When?" I asked. "Soon. Your father will give a signal. You'll know it when you see it." The water kept running, washing away traces of conspiracy along with the gravy stains. I stepped outside to get the pie I'd left in my car. Mom's favorite, made from scratch that morning. The autumn air was crisp, peaceful. Inside, I could hear laughter, Melissa's voice rising above the rest. Walking back, pie balanced in my hands, I found the front door blocked. Melissa stood in the doorway, arms crossed, face set in false sympathy. "We've decided it's best if you leave." The pie nearly slipped. "Excuse me?" "Mom and Dad agree. You're too unstable right now. It's upsetting everyone." Behind her, I could see into the house. 15 relatives watching. Mom at the dining table, hands over her face. Dad in his chair, stone-faced. Aunt Patricia smirking. Cousins with phones out, already recording. "Melissa, it's Thanksgiving. I brought pie. We'll save you some leftovers, but you need to go, now." "You're seriously blocking me from our parents' house?" "It's what's best for everyone. You're toxic, Fiona. Your negativity, your failure, your delusions about being important to this family. It's exhausting." Each word landed like a public slap. The neighbors were watching from their yards now. Mrs. Henderson from next door had stopped raking leaves. "Mom," I called past Melissa's shoulder. "Dad?" Mom didn't look up. Dad turned his head away. But I caught it. The slight nod. The signal. "I'm their daughter," I said quietly. "No," Melissa replied, loud enough for everyone to hear. "You're a burden. A divorced, childless, unsuccessful burden who can't accept that this family has moved on without you." The cousins kept recording. Someone laughed, cruel and sharp. She turned my homecoming into an exile in front of everyone who was supposed to love me. "Please leave," she said, already closing the door. "Before I have to call someone." The door shut. The lock clicked. 20 witnesses to my supposed unworthiness. But Melissa wasn't done. She opened the door again, needing a bigger audience for her cruelty. "You know what your problem is?" she announced, loud enough for the gathering neighbors. "You're too negative for this family. Your presence upsets Mom. She told me yesterday. You remind her of everything that goes wrong." That was a lie. Yesterday, Mom and I had spent 2 hours planning her garden for spring. "We'll save you some leftovers," she continued, voice dripping false charity. "I'll have Brad drop them off. Maybe, if we remember." Behind her, the relatives pressed closer. Phones up, recording my humiliation for future entertainment. Aunt Patricia actually laughed, sharp and mean. "You should get help," Melissa added. "Professional help, for everyone's sake." Tom called out, "Just go, Fiona. Don't make it worse." Make what worse? Standing on my parents' porch holding a homemade pie? Through the window, I saw Dad. He was looking directly at me now. His hand moved to his chest, tapped twice. Our old signal from when I was little. "I love you. Be strong." Then that subtle nod again. "Do it." "Your sister just wants you to be happy," someone said. Maybe Cousin Janet. "Somewhere else," Melissa clarified. "Be happy somewhere else. This family has standards, and you don't meet them anymore." Brad appeared behind her, smirking. "Come on, Melissa. She gets it." "Gets what? That my sister had poisoned an entire family against me? That standing on this porch was apparently a crime?" The pie was getting heavy. My hands weren't shaking. I wouldn't give them that satisfaction, but my heart was racing. "I understand," I said finally. "Happy Thanksgiving." Melissa smiled, victorious. "It will be now." 20 witnesses to my supposed unworthiness, and every one of them seemed pleased with the show. I didn't argue, didn't cry, didn't give them the breakdown they were expecting. "I understand. Happy Thanksgiving." I turned and walked to my car with measured steps, back straight, head high, still holding Mom's favorite pie. "It's for the best," Melissa called after me, needing the last word. "Everyone agrees." Mrs. Henderson from next door had moved closer to her fence. The Johnsons across the street stood on their porch, 3 houses worth of witnesses to my exile. I placed the pie carefully in the passenger seat, started the car, adjusted the mirror where I could see them all still watching. Melissa remained in the doorway, arms crossed, guarding the threshold like she'd won a war. Through the dining room window, the relatives had crowded to watch my departure. Someone was definitely filming. This would be on social media within the hour. Drama at Thanksgiving, sister band. I reversed out slowly. No rushed escape, no dramatic exit, just a calm departure that must have puzzled them. As I drove past Mrs. Henderson, she stepped toward the street. Our eyes met. She mouthed something that looked like shameful. But she wasn't looking at me when she said it. She was looking at my parents' house. 3 blocks away, I pulled into the empty parking lot of St. Mary's Church. Quiet, private, perfect for what came next. I reached into the glove compartment and pulled out the envelope. The papers inside were crisp, official, waiting. Then I took out my phone and scrolled to Mr. Henderson's contact. Not Mrs. Henderson from next door. Mr. Henderson, senior partner at Henderson and Associates, the lawyer who'd helped my parents prepare for exactly this moment. I had a call to make. The calm before the storm lasted exactly as long as it took to dial. Henderson? Mr. Henderson, it's Fiona Morrison. It's time to execute the plan. A pause. What happened? My sister just banned me from Thanksgiving dinner, publicly, in front of 15 family members and several neighbors. She's planning to move forward with the nursing home tomorrow. Are you sure you want to do this now? Once we start? She just called me toxic and unstable in front of everyone, said my parents agreed I should leave. They didn't stop her. Because they couldn't? Or because they were following the plan? Dad gave the signal, twice. Then we proceed. I'll need 5 minutes to pull the files and contact the bank. Are you somewhere you can take a conference call? Yes, church parking lot. Appropriate. Justice is about to be served. I could hear him typing. I'm also alerting Carol at First National. She's been waiting for this. She told me about the 47,000. That's just what we can prove so far. The forensic accountant thinks it might be double that. More typing. Fiona, once I make this call, your sister will know everything within minutes. Are you prepared for that? I thought about Mom's face, covered in shame. Dad's forced silence. The cousins recording my humiliation. I've been prepared for 6 months. Good. I'm going to conference call the house line. Your parents know to put it on speaker. We discussed this contingency. Your father has a script. Trust the process. What about Melissa? Oh, she'll come to you. They always do when their house of cards collapses. Be ready to record everything, for legal reasons. I texted Aunt Carol. Now. Her response was immediate. Finally, on my way. Legal battles are won with patience, not anger, and my patience had just run out. 4 minutes of silence. Then my phone exploded. Melissa calling. Declined. Melissa again. Declined. Brad calling. Declined. 3 texts in rapid succession. What did you do? Answer your phone now. Dad's lawyer just called the house. I started my car and pulled out of the church lot. Through the rearview mirror, I saw Melissa's Lexus flying down Main Street, running the yellow light at Oak. She was hunting me. My phone rang again. Mr. Henderson. Conference call in 30 seconds. Your father insists on speakerphone. Everyone will hear. Good. Behind me, Melissa's car swerved around a minivan. She was honking now, flashing her high beams in broad daylight. Behind her, I counted 3 more cars. Tom's pickup, Aunt Patricia's Mercedes, someone's SUV. A parade of panic. I pulled into the Walmart parking lot. Public. Busy. Witnesses everywhere. Black Friday shoppers streaming in and out. Melissa's Lexus screeched into the lot behind me, followed by the family convoy. She parked diagonal across 2 spaces, jumped out before the engine fully stopped. Her face was purple with rage, her perfect hair wild, her hands shaking as she ran toward my car. 5 minutes changed everything. I stepped out calmly, phone in hand. Around us, shoppers stopped to stare. Some pulled out their own phones. What did you do? Melissa screamed across the parking lot. I answered a phone call. You called Dad's lawyer. You're trying to manipulate them. Tom and Patricia had joined her now. Brad stayed by their car, already on his phone, probably calling his own lawyer. Actually, I said, holding up my phone as Mr. Henderson's call connected. He called me. The conference call was about to begin, and Melissa had no idea she'd walked right into the reveal. "What did you do?" Melissa screamed again, closing the distance between us. "Dad's lawyer just called talking about power of attorney." The Walmart parking lot was filling with spectators. Black Friday shoppers loved free drama more than doorbusters. "I didn't do anything," I said calmly. "I left, like you demanded." "You tricked them. You manipulated sick, elderly people." "Sick? 5 minutes ago, they were healthy enough to agree I should leave." Tom stepped forward. "Fiona, if you've done something to exploit—" "Exploit?" I laughed. Actually laughed. "That's rich coming from this family." "You're unstable," Melissa shrieked. "Everyone saw it at dinner. You're having some kind of breakdown, and now you're trying to—" My phone rang. "Mr. Henderson." I held it up so everyone could see the caller ID. "Should we ask the lawyer what's really happening?" Melissa lunged for my phone. I stepped back, and suddenly Aunt Carol was there, appearing like a guardian angel in sensible shoes. "I wouldn't do that, Melissa," Carol said quietly. "Assault in a public place with all these witnesses? That's a felony." "What are you doing here?" Patricia demanded. "Supporting my niece, the one who actually takes care of my sister and brother-in-law." More cars were pulling in. Cousin Janet, Uncle David, even some neighbors from my parents' street. The audience was growing. "Put the lawyer on speaker," Melissa demanded. "If you have nothing to hide." I smiled. Dad's words echoed. "You'll know when." This was when. "Absolutely," I said, and hit speaker. The truth has a way of surfacing, especially in the Walmart parking lot on Black Friday, with 50 witnesses and at least dozen phone cameras rolling. "Ms. Morrison?" Mr. Henderson's voice rang clear across the parking lot. "Are you there?" "I'm here, with Melissa and several family members." "Excellent. I'm here with your parents. They've asked me to clarify the situation." Melissa pushed closer. "This is Melissa Morrison Bradley. I'm the eldest daughter. Whatever my sister has told you—" "Mrs. Morrison Bradley, I'm aware of who you are. I'm calling to inform you that Fiona Morrison holds full medical and financial power of attorney for Robert and Linda Morrison." The parking lot went silent. Even the cart collector stopped moving. "That's impossible," Melissa said. "I would have known—" "The documents were executed 6 months ago, properly witnessed, notarized, and filed with the court. Your parents specifically chose Fiona as their sole agent." "Sole?" Tom asked. "Not joint?" "Correct. They were quite specific about that. Any decisions regarding their health care, living situations, or finances require Fiona's approval." Melissa's face went from purple to white. "This isn't legal. They're not competent." "I can assure you they were thoroughly evaluated. Dr. Patterson confirmed their complete competency. It's all documented." "Including," Carol added loudly, "their awareness of certain financial irregularities over the past 18 months. Dad's voice came through the speaker strong and clear. "Melissa, we know about the money." The crowd gasped. Someone whispered, "Oh, shit." "Furthermore," Henderson continued, "any attempt to move them to assisted living, sell their home, or access their accounts without Fiona's express written consent would constitute elder abuse and fraud." Melissa stumbled backward. No, this isn't—" "Your parents chose their advocate wisely," Henderson said. "The one who showed up, the one they trust." The power shift was complete. In front of 50 witnesses, the truth had finally surfaced. This is what happens when manipulation meets legal preparation. If you're dealing with toxic family dynamics, remember that protecting yourself and vulnerable loved ones isn't selfish, it's necessary. Please share this video with anyone who needs to hear that it's okay to stand up to family bullies. Subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss the conclusion of this Thanksgiving showdown. Comment below. Have you ever had to use legal means to protect yourself from family? Now let's see how this all ended. This isn't valid, Melissa screamed at the phone. I'm the eldest. I have rights. Age is irrelevant to legal designation, Henderson replied calmly. Your parents made their choice based on trust and capability. But Fiona's divorced, unstable. She can't even. I'm a cardiac nurse, I interrupted. I understand medical decisions. I live 10 minutes away. I'm there every Tuesday for dinner, every Thursday for grocery shopping, every Sunday for medication organization. That's not. Carol stepped forward, pulling out her tablet. Melissa, we need to discuss the $47,000. The crowd pressed closer. What 47,000? Brad called from their car. The amount transferred from your in-laws' accounts over the past 18 months, Carol announced. Small, frequent withdrawals, always just under the reporting limit. Classic elder financial exploitation pattern. Those were gifts, Melissa protested. Gifts that coincidentally happened when Robert's blood sugar was dangerously low? When he could barely remember his name, let alone authorize transfers. Mom's voice came through the speaker. We never agreed to those gifts, Melissa. You did. You signed signatures that don't match any other documents, Carol continued. I've been investigating for 3 months. The forensic accountant has everything documented. The crowd was recording everything. Someone live streaming commented, This is better than Black Friday deals. Patricia tried to intervene. Surely this is a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, Dad said firmly. We tested Melissa, gave her chances to do right. Instead, she tried to sell our house and lock us away. For your own good, Melissa shrieked. No, Henderson corrected. For a commission from Sunrise Manor. We have the emails, Mrs. Morrison Bradley. The finder's fee agreement. $20,000 if you delivered 2 residents. Proximity meant presence, not geography. And everyone finally understood who'd really been present. The cousins who'd been recording my humiliation slowly lowered their phones, now turning them toward Melissa. Wait, Janet said. Melissa, you said Fiona was delusional. You said she was trying to manipulate them. She is. This is all. We heard everything on speaker, Tom interrupted. At the house, after you ran out. Uncle Robert put the lawyer on the dining room phone. We all heard. A car door slammed. My parents were walking across the parking lot, Dad supporting Mom, both looking stronger than they had in months. We wanted to see your true colors, Melissa, Mom said, her voice carrying across the crowd. So we played along. Let you think we were weak. Every cruel word about your sister, Dad added. Every lie you told the family. We heard it all. You were testing me? Melissa's voice cracked. We were protecting ourselves, Dad corrected. From you. The neighbors from our street had formed a semicircle. Mrs. Henderson, the neighbor, not the lawyer, stepped forward. I saw Fiona here every single week. Groceries, medications, doctors, while you visited once a month for 20 minutes. Quality over quantity, Melissa started. Quality? Mom laughed bitterly. You mean the quality time you spent going through our financial papers? Or the quality lies about Fiona being unstable? Brad finally got out of the car, his face ashen. Melissa, what emails? What finder's fee? It's not. I can explain. We wanted to see your true colors, Dad repeated. And now everyone has. The family fracture was complete. Every relative who'd laughed at my exile was now staring at Melissa with horror. We've been documenting everything, Mom said. Every lie, every theft, every cruel word about the daughter who actually loves us. The truth bomb had detonated, and the fallout was just beginning. Melissa's carefully constructed world shattered in real time. I was protecting you from her, she screamed, mascara running. She's divorced, unsuccessful, a failure. A failure who never missed a doctor's appointment, Mom said coldly. Unlike you. I have a business, a family. You have our money, Carol corrected, and soon you won't even have that. She lives in a rental, Melissa was grasping now. I have the perfect family, the perfect life. Perfect families don't steal, Mom said, or lie about their sister, or plan to lock their parents away for profit. Brad stepped forward. Melissa, what profit? What is she talking about? Henderson's voice came through the speaker. Your wife signed a finder's fee agreement with Sunrise Manor 6 weeks ago, $20,000 for delivering 2 residents. The contracts are in her car. Brad turned toward the Lexus. You said you were researching for their benefit. I was. The money was just… Just what? I asked quietly. Just a bonus for selling our parents? You don't understand the pressure I'm under, Melissa crumbled. Private school tuition, the mortgage, Brad's business losses. What losses? Brad demanded. The unraveling accelerated, every lie exposing another. You're all against me. Melissa spun around, looking for allies. This is a conspiracy. No, Dad said firmly. This is consequences. Tom cleared his throat. Melissa, you need to pay them back. Every penny, Carol added. Or I file the fraud report Monday morning. Patricia, who'd smirked at my exile, now backed away from Melissa like she was contagious. Protection doesn't require deception, I said, and love doesn't require control. Melissa looked around the parking lot, at the strangers recording, the family recoiling, her husband's shocked face, her parents' disappointment. Her empire of manipulation had collapsed in a Walmart parking lot. Within an hour, the parking lot confrontation was everywhere. Thanksgiving disaster. Daughter exposed for elder fraud, trending on local Facebook groups. The live stream had 12,000 views and climbing. Someone had already made a TikTok with dramatic music. When the golden child gets exposed. Melissa's real estate page was flooded with comments. Is this the agent who stole from her parents? Would never trust her with my house. Explains why she pushed my grandma toward that expensive nursing home. Her agency called while we were still in the parking lot. We could hear her end. It's not what it looks like. No, I can explain. Please don't. I understand. By evening, 3 clients had publicly withdrawn their listings. The church Facebook page, where Melissa served on the financial committee, posted a vague statement about reviewing all volunteer positions in light of recent information. Her kids' school parents' WhatsApp exploded. Screenshots of the live stream circulated with shocked emoji reactions. The PTA president messaged publicly, "This is deeply concerning." Tom's wife called him, furious about the money they'd loaned Brad that Melissa had said was for home repairs. It was actually for covering the stolen funds. Even her MLM skincare team distanced themselves. We don't condone exploitation in any form, her upline posted, removing Melissa from the Boss Babe spotlight page. Mrs. Henderson had started a neighborhood watch discussion. Elder abuse can happen in any family. Here are the warning signs. The social infrastructure Melissa had built on lies collapsed within hours. My reputation, she kept mumbling, sitting on the curb. My reputation is ruined. Brad stood apart, on his phone with divorce lawyers. Reputation takes years to build, minutes to destroy. And in the age of social media, those minutes are preserved forever. The family restructuring began immediately, right there in the parking lot. Janet approached me first. Fiona, I'm so sorry. We had no idea. She was so convincing about your situation. We should have known, Tom added. You were always there. Every holiday, you brought Mom's favorite pie. Melissa brought attitude. One by one, they came forward. Apologies mixed with shame. The cousins deleted their videos of my humiliation, replacing them with statements of support. I feel terrible, Janet's daughter admitted. I laughed when she called you toxic, but you were the only one who remembered my birthday last year. Aunt Patricia, who'd smirked at my exile, couldn't meet my eyes. I was jealous, she admitted. Your mom always loved you best. I let Melissa play into that. We're starting a new family group chat, Tom announced. Without Melissa. Just family who actually acts like family. Uncle David from Phoenix shook his head. She called me 3 times, painting you as some kind of threat. I flew here thinking I was protecting my sister. Instead, I was enabling abuse. Carol became the unofficial family coordinator. Sunday dinners at Robert and Linda's continue. Fiona hosts. Everyone contributes. No drama, no manipulation, just family. Mom stood beside me, holding my hand. These are the people who choose to be family, she said loudly. Blood isn't enough anymore. Action matters. The teenagers, freed from their phones, actually talked to me. Aunt Fiona, Mom never let us know you. She said you were different. I am different, I replied. I show up. Even Brad approached, hesitant. The kids. They should still know their grandparents, and their aunt, the real one. Apologies came with promises to do better, and for the first time in 2 years, they felt genuine. Monday morning brought the real consequences. Melissa had to repay $47,000. Carol had itemized everything. Small withdrawals, but they add up, plus interest, plus penalties for elder financial abuse. I don't have it, Melissa protested in Henderson's office. Then you'll liquidate, Henderson replied. The boat, the unnecessary third car, the vacation property you bought with stolen funds. Brad sat separately, his own lawyer present. I knew nothing about this, he insisted. My assets are protected, right? Not marital assets, his lawyer corrected. Not when fraud is involved. The forensic accountant presented his findings. Actually, it's closer to $73,000 when we include the credit cards opened in their names. Mom gasped. Credit cards? 3, maxed out, hidden in online statements you never saw. Monthly audits were mandated, every transaction reviewed. Melissa lost all financial access, not just to my parents' accounts, but Brad restricted hers too. Couples counseling, Brad announced. Or divorce, your choice. Their teenagers were already in therapy. Mom's been lying to us our whole lives, their daughter had said, about money, about family, about Aunt Fiona. The IRS got involved. Gifts over $15,000 require documentation. Melissa had none. Her real estate license was under review. Ethical violations, the board stated. Potential criminal charges pending. Henderson had one final bomb. Your parents are considering pressing charges. Criminal elder abuse, that's 5 to 7 years. They wouldn't, Melissa whispered. They might, I said. Unless you get help. Real help. Therapy for narcissistic personality disorder. I'm not. You are, Brad interrupted, and everyone sees it now. Numbers don't lie, even when people do. And the numbers showed a pattern of exploitation that would follow Melissa forever. The new boundaries were non-negotiable. Melissa attended court-mandated therapy twice a week. Narcissistic personality disorder with financial exploitation tendencies, the psychiatrist diagnosed. Treatment will take years. Her visits with our parents required supervision. 1 hour, Sunday afternoons, I established. I'll be present. No financial discussions, no guilt trips, no manipulation. That's harsh, she'd pleaded. That's necessary, Henderson corrected. I coordinated all medical care now. Every appointment, every prescription, every decision went through me. The doctors were relieved. We always wondered why your sister insisted on separate consultations, Dr. Patterson admitted. Now we know. Mom and Dad moved to a smaller house, their choice, 3 blocks from my apartment. We want to be closer to the daughter who cares, Dad said publicly, ensuring everyone heard. Weekly dinners became peaceful. No performance, no competition, no subtle cruelty. Just family being family. I miss the drama, Tom joked one Sunday. No, you don't, his wife corrected. None of us do. Melissa's kids started visiting separately. Aunt Fiona, can you teach me to cook? Their daughter asked. Mom never has time. I had time. I'd always had time for family. The restraining order wasn't legal, it was emotional. Melissa couldn't contact my parents without my knowledge, couldn't visit without approval, couldn't make any decisions about their care. Boundaries aren't walls, I explained to the family. They're guidelines for healthy relationships. Even Brad understood. You're protecting them. I wish someone had protected my kids from their mother's lies sooner. The new normal took months to settle, but eventually, peace replaced performance. Truth replaced manipulation. Boundaries aren't walls, they're guidelines, and everyone finally understood the difference. Through all of this, I discovered something profound about worth. For 2 years, I'd let Melissa's narrative define me. Divorced meant failure. Childless meant incomplete. Renting meant unsuccessful. Her voice had become my inner critic. But when the truth surfaced, so did my real value. I wasn't the daughter with the biggest house. I was the daughter with the biggest heart. Not the one with perfect children, but the one who showed up imperfectly and consistently. My divorce wasn't failure. It was courage to leave what wasn't working. My rental wasn't poverty. It was flexibility to be near aging parents. My nursing career wasn't less than. It was expertise that helped me understand their medical needs. You were never unsuccessful, Mom told me one quiet evening. You were just successful at things Melissa couldn't monetize. Presence over presence. Time over money. Truth over performance. The family saw it now, too. We measured wrong, Janet admitted. We counted Melissa's things instead of your actions. Even Melissa's kids recognized it. Aunt Fiona, you're successful in ways Mom never taught us to value. My calendar filled. Not with obligations, but opportunities. Cousins called for advice. Aunts invited me for coffee. The family that had watched my exile now sought my company. How did you stay so calm? They asked. I knew my worth wasn't in her words, I replied. It was in my parents' trust. Success redefined on my terms meant showing up, speaking truth, staying steady. It meant being chosen by those who matter, not impressing those who don't. The unsuccessful sister had successfully protected her parents, exposed the truth, and rebuilt a family on authentic foundations. Success is being chosen by those who matter. And I was chosen when it mattered most. This Thanksgiving, 1 year later, looked completely different. I hosted at my parents' new house, the dining room filled with family who'd learned the difference between performance and presence. Melissa wasn't invited. Is that cruel? Mom had asked. No, the therapist confirmed. It's consequence. She needs to earn trust back slowly, not be handed opportunities to harm. Melissa spent Thanksgiving in therapy-ordered community service, serving meals at a shelter. Learning empathy through action, her psychiatrist called it. The table conversation flowed naturally. No landmines, no careful navigation, no one recording for evidence, just for memories. I'm grateful, Dad said during grace. For truth, even when it hurts. For boundaries, Mom added, even when they're hard. For Aunt Fiona, Melissa's daughter said quietly, for showing us what family really means. The family that had laughed at my exile now protected my peace. When distant relatives asked about Melissa, the response was uniform. She's working on herself. We're focusing on healing. Brad brought the kids early, staying for coffee. You saved them, he told me quietly. Not just your parents, my children. They're in therapy, learning what healthy relationships look like. The pie I'd made, Mom's favorite, same recipe, sat centerpiece on the table. Last year, it never made it inside. This year, everyone wanted the recipe. The secret ingredient? I smiled. Showing up. Carol raised her glass. To the daughter who was always successful. We just couldn't see it. To boundaries, Tom added. To truth, Mom finished. Sometimes exclusion is the kindest inclusion. Melissa's absence allowed everyone else to be present. The story I'd lived would follow me, but as testimony, not shame. Proof that documents beat drama, preparation beats panic, and truth always surfaces, even if it takes a Thanksgiving disaster to reveal it. If this story resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to know they're not alone in dealing with toxic family dynamics. Remember, documents beat drama, preparation beats panic, and truth always surfaces. Subscribe for more stories about standing up with dignity and setting professional boundaries. What's your Thanksgiving disaster story? Have you ever had to legally protect yourself from family? Comment below. I read every single one. And remember, your worth isn't determined by those who try to diminish it. Until next time, stay strong and document everything.